My name is Emma. For most of my life, I believed I was the luckiest foster kid in America. When I was 9 years old, my parents died in a highway accident. I don't remember much from that day, only the rain, the flashing police lights, and a woman hugging me while I kept asking when my mom would wake up. A few months later, Richard and Susan adopted me. Everyone in town called them heroes. They smiled in church, they donated to charities, they even won an award for outstanding foster parents. To the world, they looked perfect. To me, they were home. At least that's what I believed. Growing up, they constantly reminded me how grateful I should be. Whenever I wanted something simple, new shoes, a school trip, birthday money, Susan would smile and say, "Emma, remember where you came from." I always felt guilty. So I stopped asking. I worked after school. I bought my own clothes. I even paid for my college applications myself. I thought I was becoming independent. I had no idea that someone else had already been spending my money. Everything changed 3 weeks after my 23rd birthday. I received a phone call from a law office I'd never heard of. The woman on the phone sounded confused. "Emma? Yes, we've been trying to contact you for years." I laughed. "You must have the wrong person." She became silent. "No, we're looking for Emma Carter." My heart stopped. That's me. Then she said something that changed my life forever. "Your grandmother created a trust fund for you 15 years ago." I couldn't breathe. My grandmother? Yes, she passed away shortly after signing the documents. The trust was supposed to be transferred to you when you turned 21. I whispered, "I've never heard about any trust." There was a long pause. Then the lawyer asked one question. "Didn't your legal guardians tell you?" My stomach dropped. No, another silence. Then she quietly replied, "They've been collecting the payments." I nearly dropped my phone. What? The trustees believed the money was being used for your education and living expenses. I couldn't think. My hands were shaking. Over $400,000 had been sent over the years. Money I never even knew existed. That night, I drove straight to my foster parents' house. I didn't tell them about the lawyer. I simply asked, "Did Grandma ever leave me anything?" Richard didn't even look up from the television. "No," Susan smiled. "Sweetheart, your parents had nothing." She lied, without blinking. I nodded, pretending I believed them. But something felt strange. Richard kept checking his phone. Susan looked nervous. For the first time in my life, I wasn't seeing loving parents. I was seeing two people trying very hard, not to get caught. I left without saying another word. But before driving away, I did something I'd never done before. I bought a tiny voice recorder. The next morning, I returned. This time, I wasn't coming back as their daughter. I was coming back as the person who was finally ready to learn the truth. I slipped the recorder into my jacket pocket, knocked on the front door, and smiled as Susan welcomed me inside. She had no idea. Every single word she was about to say would destroy the life she spent 15 years building. Susan smiled as she poured coffee into my mug. "Sweetheart, you look stressed." I smiled back. "I've just been thinking about my parents." Her face tightened for a second. Then she laughed softly. "Some things are better left in the past." I leaned forward. What if my grandmother left me money? For the first time, neither of them answered. Richard slowly put down his newspaper. "Why would you ask that?" I shrugged. "I was just curious." Susan forced another smile. "Emma, don't let strangers fill your head with lies." The recorder in my pocket captured every word. I decided to push a little harder. The lawyer said there was a trust fund. The room became completely silent. Richard's face turned pale. Susan dropped her coffee cup. It shattered across the kitchen floor. Then Richard stood up. "Don't talk to that lawyer again." Not, "He's wrong." Not, "Let's figure this out." Just don't talk to him. That was all I needed. I calmly stood up. "I think I'll leave." Susan grabbed my arm. "Emma, we're your family." I looked into her eyes. "If that's true, why did you steal from me?" She let go immediately. Neither of them followed me outside. because they already knew their secret was over. The next morning I met the lawyer. She spread dozens of documents across the table. Every payment, every signature, every bank transfer. One name appeared again and again. Richard Walker. He had signed forms claiming my education expenses, medical bills, living costs, things that never existed. Over $430,000 had disappeared. But proving fraud wasn't enough. We needed proof they knew exactly what they were doing. That's when I remembered the recorder. We listened together. Richard's voice filled the room. "Don't talk to that lawyer again." Then Susan whispered, "If she finds everything, we're finished." The lawyer paused the recording. She smiled. "Emma, this case just became very easy." 3 months later, we walked into court. For the first time in my life, Richard wasn't smiling. Susan couldn't even look at me. Their attorney argued they had raised me, fed me, given me a home, as if kindness gave them permission to steal. Then my lawyer stood. She played the recording. The courtroom became silent. Every lie, every admission, every terrified whisper filled the room. I watched the judge's expression change. Richard knew it was over. The judge ruled in my favor. Every remaining dollar had to be repaid. Their house was ordered sold. Their savings were frozen. They were convicted of financial fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. The people who once called them heroes now avoided looking at them. A week later, Susan called me. She was crying. "We made mistakes, please forgive us." For years I dreamed about hearing those words. I thought they would heal me. They didn't. I answered quietly. "You didn't make mistakes, you made choices." Then I hung up. Forever, 6 months later, I stood outside a small community center. Not as a victim, not as an orphan, but as someone finally free. I donated part of the recovered money to a program that helps children leaving foster care. Because I knew exactly how loneliness feels. Every year, another young adult receives a scholarship in my parents' memory. Not Richard's, not Susan's. My real parents. The people who loved me, without ever asking for anything in return. Sometimes people ask if I hate my foster parents. The answer is no. Hate keeps you connected to the people who hurt you. Justice sets you free. And that's the day I learned. The greatest revenge isn't destroying the people who betrayed you. It's building a life so honest, their lies can never reach you again.